I'm here with my Specialized Tarmac SL7, and you might be able to see here in the front face of the clamp, the handlebar clamp, there's a little opening which is designed for this proprietary out front computer mount accessory to fit into. So I'm going to install this on the clamp of the handlebar. And the reason that I want to do that, there's four main reasons for that. The first reason is the stem on this bike, the Specialized stem, is quite bulky. It's not a rounded contour, it's actually got squared off edges. So your standard, I have a Garmin bike computer, and your standard Garmin mount does not fit flush with the stem. There's space underneath it, and also the elastic bands which hold it in place are on significant stretch. I'm worried about them breaking. The second reason is, from time to time I like to use a GoPro attached to the handlebar, and when the camera is in place it knocks against the Garmin bike computer which is currently on the stem. The third reason is I'm a little concerned about that opening there might be a place where water collects. I'd rather not have to worry about that. And the fourth reason is there's space on that clamp for this, so I figured I might as well use it. When I saw the price of this accessory mount kit, I nearly changed my mind because of price shock. As you can see, it's nearly $100. Compared to maybe $15 for a standard stem mount kit. Let's unpack this box, see what's included, because you'll want to make sure that you have the correct mounting plate and fittings for your bike computer. Once you see everything that's included in this package, you'll begin to understand why it is so expensive. However, for most end users who only have one brand of bike computer, most of these components will end up with all of your other no longer needed bike stuff in a box, or possibly even in the bin. On the packaging, which I can barely read because the font is so tiny, it says it contains mounting plates for Garmin, Wahoo, Bryton, Polar, Lezyne, Mio Magellan, Sigma and Cateye. For three of the bike computer brands, namely Garmin, Wahoo and Bryton, the name is stamped onto the mounting plate. However, for the other brands, I think it would require some further investigation to work out which mounting plate goes with which bike computer. I strongly recommend, and I learned this the hard way, that you do not test whether you've got the right mounting plate for your bike computer by attaching them together. It took me a long time to get them apart, and you cannot install this on the extension piece with the bike computer attached to the mount. The actual extension piece is metal, I assume aluminium to save weight. It comes with 4 of these bolts. The bolts need to thread through that hole and then through the handlebar clamp and into a locking nut that's going to hold it in place. Unlike with a computer stem mount, which is held on just with elastic bands, to make use of this out front extension mount, you will need to take off the handlebar clamp, and that means you'll need to know how to set up your bars again the way they were at the start. So you will need to know how to get your bars central on the stem, and you'll need to make sure you get the same tilt as you had at the beginning, and typically the tilt's going to be somewhere pretty close to 0 degrees horizontal. Have a look for any markings on the handlebar, or if there aren't any suitable markings, you can use some removable masking tape or something similar to make sure that you get the bars exactly central again when you replace them. You'll also need to check the angle of your handlebars. To do this, the simplest way is to use the inclinometer app on your phone It comes built in on an iPhone. Failing that, get yourself a small digital level from your hardware store. Remove the clamp, making sure not to lose any bolts. Put the clamp and bolts aside. Place the locking nut into the rear of the clamp. Now it's useful to take the bolt that goes through the extension piece hole, thread it into the locking nut, and use it as a handle to hold the clamp. Place the 4 clamp bolts into the clamp holes, ready to go. The clamp is asymmetrical, so make sure you have it the right way up, otherwise the bolts will not fit. When you have the handlebars centered and at the angle you're happy with, tighten all 4 clamp bolts. Make sure to use a torque wrench. Now take out the bolt from the locking nut behind the clamp. Insert that bolt through the extension piece back into the locking nut and tighten back up. Finally, we need to attach the Garmin mounting plate using the 2 small tapered head bolts. And voila, we now have the space we need for my bike computer. So I think the final result looks good, is very functional and makes the best use of the specialized components. What do you think?